What if you could proactively spot issues on machines in your environment and fix them before the user even had a chance to call? That is an admin's secret weapon. And that's what we're going to talk about on today's episode of Go-Tanium Tech Talks as we take a first look at the Tanium Performance module. And today on the show, I have an expert with us, as always. But before we get to that, hey, you know what? This is the 1 year anniversary of Go-Tanium Tech Talks. And as you can see, as you will see in a minute, there's a little bit of festive background with our guest here because it's that time of year. We started this December 8th of 2020. And so we're commemorating that as this time of year when we think about giving gifts, we're giving you a gift here with the Tanium Admin secret weapon. So without any further ado, I want to bring on our guest. James, introduce yourself.
Hey, Ashley. So I'm James Klepico, the performance SME lead here at Tanium. I've been at Tanium a little over 3.5 years, and I'm excited to be here.
And I've got to ask, some people might have an elf on the shelf. You have a massive snowman behind you. Tell us about the snowman.
So I like to call him my QA engineer. He's got a little bit of Tanium swag on him. You'll notice he's got his jacket. It's got the ornament around him. It's just my kids love Christmas. When Christmas comes around, they really dive into it. You can see my Christmas tree and everything. If I was to open that door, you'd probably see a whole, assortment of different things related to Christmas. But yeah, to put it short, yeah, my kids love Christmas.
So, James, this is our first episode talking about the Tanium Performance module. It's a bit of a sleeper. A lot of people don't know what's even out there. And that's the purpose of this show, is to bring you all the greatness of Tanium. So I'd like for you to kind of just give us a little bit of the 411. What is performance all up? Where did it come from?
So yeah, one of the toughest challenges today is remediating and troubleshooting performance issues. Typically, administrators only hear about the issues users complain about. And if you think about that, Ashley, it's really a fraction of reality. When I was an administrator, I always struggled to find a really good performance tool. And I always wanted a task manager view of my fleet, but also wanted the ability to look back in time. And that's the good thing about performance, is not only do you have this live process monitor, but you also have the ability to look at historical metrics if something has actually happened in the past.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. What you just said there was how many people choose not to call the help desk or the support desk, right? Because
Exactly.
they don't have time, they don't want to mess with it, but they're swearing at their machine like, one more day I want to pitch it out the window, right? So we can really
Exactly.
help them with this, right? We can help the user, and we can help the admin who's kind of drowning in hundreds of thousands of endpoints, and we can help them see right away, here are the ones that you need to focus on. And by the way, here's the particular hardware model that's giving you most of your problems. And when I saw that, I thought, oh, wow. And again, I know I've said this already several times, but this show is about bringing you really cool tricks that you can do with Tanium that you didn't know were possible. And also, I used to be in the cube as an admin, I guess working from home now, right? But I was there in your boots, right? In your sandals, in your flip flops, whatever you're wearing at work today. But I was there, and I remember, pulling my hair out. Not that I can do that much anymore, but trying to figure out some of these things and grappling with this massive workload. And Tanium is all about trying to make your life easier so you can go home at a decent time and be with your family and feel like you've done a good job for the day. So James, why don't we go ahead and just jump right in? We could talk about it as we go. Let's take a look at the performance module and how it works.
So here I am actually directly connected to a machine. I really like to start off in direct connect because it kind of gives you an overview of a machine, not only real time, but those historical metrics that people struggle today. One of the cool features is I immediately understand what type of a system I have a performance issue on, right? I have a Windows machine. I know the model. I know the serial number if there's a logged in user. I also get a resource summary here. Obviously, this machine is not having a good day. You can see it's 100% CPU usage. We get an idea of what memory consumption is being used, as well as some of the network metrics. And if we had multiple networks or multiple disks here, that would actually be a drop-down menu.
Now I see right there in the resource summary, it says Red Hat. Now, I know a lot of our admins are thinking everyday Windows user administration and performance, but talk a minute about the cross-platform nature.
So anything I'm showing you today will actually work on Linux, Mac, or Windows. So any of the features that you see here will work. An example feature is Browse File System. Suppose you have an application that has a log file, or you want to go ahead and just download, say, the application log. That's something that we can very quickly do. And we were able to get that data in the hands of an admin so they can do a further investigation of that machine.
I want to drill on that for a second. So you just went to a Windows box, pulled off a Windows event log, right? I did not have to RDP to the machine. I didn't have to try to connect to a $C share, or in the case of Linux, I didn't have to SSH to that machine. And in the case of work from home, there might be boundaries between me and that machine. So I have now cross-platform, Windows, Mac, or Linux, work from home or in the office, it doesn't matter. I can pull event logs off that machine. That needs to be shouted from the mountaintops and billboards. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's huge. So I mean, like work from, people that are working from home, you don't have to call them up, right? You don't say, all right, open up Task Manager, or hey, send me this file. You automatically have access to their system. You can download whatever file that you want. It gets zipped up, it gets downloaded, then you can actually view it. Very convenient.
Now, I'm guessing some people are scratching their heads like me. Wait a minute, we've got a Red Hat network adapter and we just grabbed a Windows log. So that's because of our lab hosting environment, right?
Exactly.
So I don't want people to get too freaked out. We're not connected to Red Hat and Windows at the same time here. So, all right.
Exactly. And if we wanted real-time visibility into that machine, this is where we can look at, say, live process monitor. This live process monitor view gives you real-time visibility of what's actually happening on that machine. You have different ways to add columns. I can add, handle count, command line. The sorting is available. The filtering is available. But one of the cool things I like about performance is I could actually look at different processes historically. Suppose you have a problematic process that you're troubleshooting live on the machine. It's at 100% CPU usage. I could then select that process and all of these other charts to understand what usage that particular process was using at a memory level, at a CPU level, as well as an IO level. What's even more interesting is the fact is I can actually kill it. So if it's a process that's out of control and the user has no idea how to open up Task Manager and kill items, I could terminate that process as I feel fit.
And of course, the usual disclaimer goes here, if you're working in IT, the severity of killing a process and being careful with that, right? So this gives you that ability to terminate processes that are causing pain for the user right now while you're on the phone with them.
Absolutely. Another section I like to cover in Direct Connect is our events section. Events are basically negative performance conditions. You can see here that I have an event for CPU utilization. What this gives us is the ability to look at a machine and determine, hey, did anything bad occur? I can clearly see on this machine that I have numerous CPU utilization events. What's even cooler is the fact that for any of these events, I have the option to scope the charts to that time frame. And I also have the ability to show the top processes. So here, I see a CPU utilization event. It's clear that CPU utilization is very high. And I'm actually able to determine, hey, what process is causing this issue? Here I see an antivirus and security software causing some conflict, and that's what's created this event.
Oh, no way. That never happens.
That never does occur. Another cool item is the ability to change our scope. I mentioned that performance keeps this flight recorder type of a database, right? It's always ongoing. We're always checking for events. The cool thing about that historical view is I'm able to change the scope. I can look back the past 4 hours, past 8 hours, past day, past 2 days, past week, whatever the case may be. I'm able to change my scope pretty quickly and get that view that I'm interested in. You'll notice that annotations are on. I can turn that off if I needed to. Basically, annotation is on the screen. When did actually an event occur?
Some of our viewers right now are wondering about data storage. So we know this is using the Tanium architecture. We're not warehousing this data in a central database, right? So this is all data coming from the endpoint. So if I'm looking at historical perf data, that means there's some type of local storage. Could you talk for just a second about what kind of client requirements we might have around that?
So that we use a Tanium TSDB process. We do recommend that you set up exclusions for your antivirus for that process. But to answer your question on storage, we use a time series database. We use either a gig or 15 days, whichever occurred first. So whichever occurred first, we'll actually stop doing. So
and that's just a default, right? People can
absolutely
tweak that as well.
Now that is the default. However, that is customizable. Here you can see the retention settings within the profile. That is customizable. So if you wanted to either increase it, decrease it, whatever the case may be, that is configurable. I mentioned, the ability to look at these different metrics in Direct Connect. I just want to highlight a few of the metrics, and then I'll show you the more of the enterprise view on the events page. You'll notice that for CPU metrics, we expose CPU, user, kernel, interrupt, and DPC. So those are very good metrics to use when you're investigating CPU problems. We also will show you the CPU utilization per process at a process level. So not only will show you overall CPU usage, we break it down into actually who's using it. Same thing with memory. We not only show you the available and used memory, but we'll show you like non-page pool size, your page file size, your page file used. With memory, we also have the memory consumed for the process, as well as the network metrics. We will show you the throughput, send in and receive discards, whether there's errors. All of those are available metrics I can actually choose. And then from a disk perspective, we have all of the usual suspects: read, write, latency, the read ops, active percent, write percent. And we'll also show you the IO at a process level. Just like CPU and memory, we'll break that down and show you the IO per process. And then finally in Direct Connect, I do want to show you that we'll show you the application crashes and system crashes. If you have an application that's crashing, we'll not only show you the process, but also the module at fault.
And that's huge because, we can see that now across the enterprise. Here are the applications that are crashing on a regular basis. Here are the systems that continue to crash. That can really help us proactively troubleshoot those things and figure out, scope them better and get to resolution faster.
Absolutely. And that's where I really want to talk about our events page. So getting that view of your enterprise becomes simple with our events page. So I can easily define, what computer groups I want to look at, as well as the scope. So this is the demo environment. I show you all computers the past day. This shows you how many endpoints had CPU events, memory, disk capacity, application crashes, system crashes. And then finally, we can actually drill down to each type. Here I can see that for CPU events, we'll list the top process associated with that event. So it allows you to not only determine what models had these type of events, but also who's actually contributing to that CPU usage. Same thing with memory, right? We will not only show you the models, but we'll also show you the process that was actually consuming the most memory during the event. For disk capacity, we'll show you the models as well as disk latency, application crashes. We'll show you not only the application that's at fault, but the model as well as system crashes. Here's system crashes, the model, as well as the bug check code. Now, the cool
One of
feature.
the things that I like about this, James, is that when you think about hardware refresh, right, and people have to refresh their hardware, but this lets them target specific, aged models in the environment, or maybe they're not so aged, but they're having performance issues, and so either it's a hardware refresh or a bad drive or bad ramp, something that we know is a problem with that model. This really helps us find that. So when it comes to doing our hardware refresh, we can see what are the machines that are struggling to keep up and causing performance issues for users, but then even be more targeted in when it comes time, so we don't just spray and pray with hardware budget, but we can really go after the machines that are having trouble.
Absolutely. You can also look at it from perspective of like software changes. Suppose you did an update to a particular application. You want to measure the impact of what that actually did. This is just a good way to look at that. I can change the scope, look back in time, look at the metrics. Hey, did I have events during that time? No. Well, I'm having events now. Maybe there's a code defect. It's a good point. Another area I really want to show you is our events and trends and how they integrate, and also how the new performance content of 1.963 helps us with performance. Here we can see I have event composition. I also have top models with events. I can also correlate events over time. And this goes back to that story of, hey, I did an update. What is the impact of that update? I can look at that over time. Another convenient thing we could do is look at the top application crashes, the top system crashes, the top memory consumers, the top CPU consumers. And again, this is the visibility per computer group. So the computer group could be a remote site. It could be a group of machines, say all Windows machines, all Mac. Computer groups are pretty limited. You could, go and do whatever you want as far as a computer group is concerned.
Man, this is some great visibility. And I'm just trying to think what kind of other tools are out there in the industry. I know there's some application analysis tools out there, but I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. I'm not aware of anything that can do all of this. And again, you don't have to have a separate agent and a separate license and separate, infrastructure to support this. It's just Tanium.
Yeah, we do have competitors. And one thing I want to point out is that we're not event trace based. We're very low level. We don't use a recorder. We're just basically using built-in APIs, PDH, from the OS, and we get that data every 15 seconds. So it's not a real aggressive performance tool. It's a very low level.
Yeah, which is the next common question, right? Is what's the impact on the endpoint for measuring this?
So, if we look at the impact of just our process, it would use about 50 megs or so of RAM, 1 to 3% of a single core when it's actually getting the metrics. Again, it sleeps for 15 after it's gathered it. So keep that in mind. When you're using Direct Connect, it's only like a 5% additional CPU usage of a single core. So again, it should not impact any machine in an enterprise. It's very low level. You could see that on that machine that was 100% CPU usage. I'm able to still connect and actually view metrics. So it's pretty convenient.
I love the way you describe that, because you're a performance expert, and it's like a surgeon being very precise in the way he's describing this is exactly what we're doing, right? And so I love that precision. So I know what we've done. So this is not the performance module that we're looking at here. This is actually trends that people are familiar with charts and graphs, and the performance module puts data there as well. But let's go back to the performance module and just take a look all up from the start page in the module, because I know we've looked at Direct Connect, and I want to give people the big context here. So we got into those views from this page at the performance module. What are some of the things we can get at a glance here?
So on the overview page, we can immediately connect to an endpoint. I can connect to whatever endpoint has the performance tools on it and get that same sort of view as I was originally. We also have some event trends boards. We get an event summary, how many machines had critical events in the environment. We do a rule breakdown. So whatever events that you had, we'll break it down. Here we can see 6 endpoints had CPU events. We have 8 with system crashes, things of that nature. We break it down. We'll also list the application crashes, the system crashes, and also the live endpoints with events. So any machine that has an event right now, I can connect to very quickly and do a more thorough investigation.
And then, wow, that's amazing to me. So not only, because you think about in a traditional IT environment, you've got some tool A that's going to give me the perf data and some tool B that's going to be the remote control. But here I can see in the same interface, here's the machines with the issue, click the button and I'm in, like they say in the movies. And I'm looking at that direct connect view so I can see all that live performance data. Wow.
Yeah, it goes a long way. A lot of people love it. And then with any other module, we have our health section, which shows the coverage, and then active profiles. You'll notice that we also have profiles. I didn't cover profiles, but profiles are how we define our event rules. Out of the box, the performance me's have done a really good job of giving a default profile with all of the different thresholds we feel will accommodate an enterprise. But yeah, we have also the profiles with performance. Here you could actually configure event rules. Suppose you had a mission critical fleet. You wanted to, make this a little bit lower. You could certainly do that. You also can change the duration. Any of these event rules, I can not only change when a bad thing I want to be flagged, but also the duration of how long it is. And we also will do that for any of the metric types. Here we can see available memory, disk capacity, disk latency, application crashes, and system crashes.
Well, so I can even use this to kind of hunt a specific performance issue if I know there's one particular factor here. They always talk about in classic performance monitoring, you always look at disk, CPU, network, and so forth. But here you can be very specific about what you're looking for, which machines you're looking for, whether it's servers or workstation, Windows, Mac, and Linux. So much flexibility.
Absolutely. And another thing that is a use case with performance is suppose you want to monitor a mission critical application. Here I have antivirus.exe. But the application could be really anything that you can imagine, right? Your sophisticated security product that you use. It could be Tanium. It could be, whatever you can imagine, Outlook, Zoom, any of those other products we could basically look at from an application perspective and get you usage of that particular application, whether it consists of a single process, multiple process. We're able to get that data and show you visually how it's behaving, not only singly, but across your enterprise.
We could even look at the Teams process and see how many people are in a meeting right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It just allows you, and you could do it for any app that you really wanted to. These are all bucketed views. I know that 20 to 29, I had 4 machines that had that CPU usage. If I look at daily, you can see the same thing, but you could also do this monthly. So if you wanted to look at the past month, past 3 months, whatever the case may be, and look to see if that application behaved better in the past after you've updated it, those are things that people could do to help you analyze and figure out what your application is doing.
So James, as we wrap up this show today on the performance module, what are the big things you want people to take away?
Well, one of the things is that if you're not running a performance tool currently, I'd strongly encourage you to try Tanium Performance. We're offering a 90-day trial on Tanium Performance. I'd strongly encourage you to at least give it a try, get it to your environment, try it out, understand its capabilities.
Yeah, and I can imagine a lot of shops would have something like this on the server side, but I don't know how many shops would have this on for end user workstations either, right? So at that scale. So this really does add a lot of value. James, thank you for that tour of the performance module today on Go-Tanium Tech Talks. And we've got a couple takeaways here on the slide for you. So number one, this is cross-platform. How cool is that? Windows, Mac, and Linux. You can see the performance and the analysis of that performance across any platform. All right. And then you can also make intelligent, informed hardware refresh decisions. I mean, there's so many different ways you could use this. You can reach those work from home machines today, where that's a challenge for most of us in today's post-COVID world. Now we got a lot of people working from home, and now you can actually connect to those machines, and it doesn't matter where they are. You can get all that same level of details, which is another fantastic benefit. And then you can get notifications in the console. You can even use our Connect module if you wanted. And when an app crashes, when a server crashes, type things like that. Maybe you've got an executive suite and you want to keep an extra tab on those machines anytime they're having an issue so you can respond more quickly, right? That's a very common use case. And easily downloading logs. Wow. I mean, this is stuff we do every day. It's our bread and butter in IT as admins, is troubleshooting machines, and we can pull those logs off the machines very quickly, like you saw there with the direct connect experience, and so much more. Now, we only had a limited time today, but you can get to the docs, right? The community resources, the KB release articles, all that at this link in community here, bit.ly/TaniumPerf will take you to that performance landing page in Tanium community, where it's going to have links to lots of articles and discussions and help to get you there. And like James said, I want to make sure you're aware. Now, this is a limited time, but right now you can email us at go@tanium.com to get a free trial. And I want to clarify that this is not included with the core platform of Tanium. Some of our suites, depending on what you've purchased, it might be included. But if you don't own it already today, and so if you want a trial, email us, go@tanium.com. Let us know that you like a free trial. Let us know what company that you're with, and we'll get you connected with the right folks to get you set up with that free trial. Also, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, don't forget the Converge on-demand content. If you go to bit.ly Tanium Converge, you can go there, check it out, check out what's happening. You can see the keynotes. You can see what's happening in the roadmaps for the modules that you know and love every day, and the business use cases that we're solving together here at Tanium. So with that, again, James, thank you for being a guest on Go-Tanium Tech Talks today. And thank you for joining us for this 1-year anniversary episode of the Go-Tanium Tech Talk show. And don't forget to check out the Twitch stream and the podcast from Kim and Moshe and from Doug. More great content from those folks over there. And you can find that out at community.tanium.com. At the top of the page, go to the Go-Tanium series link up there, and you can go find those other shows, follow them as well. So thanks again for joining us, and until next time, Go-Tanium.